The Cajun dialect is typically heard in southern Louisiana, especially within small rural towns. The city of Lafayette, which encompasses these towns, is known as the capital of Cajun country. The Cajun dialect can also be heard in some regions of southern Texas and southern Mississippi. Many Cajuns have specifically settled in the southeastern corner of Texas, known as the Golden Triangle of the Texan cities of Beaumont, Port Arthur, and Orange. As a result, this area has been referred to as the Lapland, where Cajun culture overlaps into Texas.
The Cajun dialect has its roots in the French language and actually came to the United States from Canada, where French is one of the official languages. In 1630, French people moved to a French colony in a region of Canada named La Acadie or Acadia. Later, the British owned Acadia. The Acadians were able to live peacefully for quite some time, but the British began to feel threatened by their friendship with the Native Americans. Since more British settlers were arriving in Acadia, the British government was worried that the alliance between the Acadians and Native Americans, which had strength in numbers, could result in mass rebellion against the British Crown. Therefore, all people of French ancestry were forced to pledge their allegiance to the British government. Those who refused were deported to and separated throughout the 13 American colonies, Caribbean, England, and France. Acadians living in the Dominican Republic migrated to New Orleans, where the Spanish let them settle. Cajun culture developed here as other Acadians from the West Indies, England, and France joined them. The term Cajun actually stems from the term for the group of people, and Acadians was shortened by English speakers to Cadians, which was then shortened to Cajuns.
People who speak the Cajun dialect experience a rich culture filled with festivals, music, religion, and food. The joy of living, translated to French as seen on the screen, is an integral part of Cajun culture and lifestyle. Mardi Gras, or Fat Tuesday, is the day before Ash Wednesday, which marks the beginning of the penitential season of Lent. Cajun celebration of Mardi Gras differs from the celebration in New Orleans. Many towns in Cajun country host traditional Mardi Gras runs. These runs involve a public procession on horseback to different houses in town. At each house, the participants must beg for ingredients that will later be used for communal gumbo. Most people with a Cajun dialect are Roman Catholic and participate in Lent, or 40 days of fasting in preparation for the celebration of Easter. Since many people with Cajun dialects are Catholic and abstain from meat on Fridays during Lent, fresh seafood is prevalent in the Cajun culture. This seafood is only one part of the globally known Cajun cuisine. Annual festivals in Louisiana highlight other culinary specialties such as frog, shrimp, and duck. Visitors to this region often anxiously anticipate these delicacies and spices. Family is a very important institution for many Cajuns. Crawfish boils with potatoes and onions make an abundance of food for informal social gatherings and are favored by these large families. Regarding Cajun music, the origins can be traced back to the fiddle tunes that the Acadians brought from rural France to Canada. Throughout the 19th century, the violin remained the dominant instrument in Cajun music, with Afro-Creole, Anglo-American, and Native American influences.
There are several stereotypes associated with the Cajun dialect. For starters, the French language was not allowed in schools beginning in 1921. There were several reasons for this, mainly that speaking Cajun French or Creole was considered a sign of ignorance and was thought to be old-fashioned. Ultimately, this way of thinking and the eradication of the dialect convinced many Cajuns that their language should be shameful, one that was unworthy of passing on to their children. However, it is important to note that the Cajun dialect is not a substandard form of English. The paradigm dis, dat, des, dos is a well-known stereotype in Louisiana to describe how all Cajuns talk. However, this is not an accurate portrayal of Cajun, as it is an exaggeration and may offend the people who use a Cajun dialect. After the 1950s, the Cajun dialect began to disappear. This was prompted by racial segregation and a political standardization of Standard American English as the main language for American speakers. However, the sense of community and belonging that this dialect brings has encouraged its recovery by the youngest generation of Cajun speakers. This recovery of the dialect is referred to as the Cajun Renaissance. Coming from large families, it is important that the younger generation feels connected to their elders, and one way they can do so is through mirroring dialects. Let's listen to some speech samples of the Cajun dialect before we begin discussing its unique syntax, vocabulary, and phonology.
If I do anything, I'll jump the broomstick. And I don't want no spring chicken either. I want an old setting hen who can cook. Qui va cuire pour souper.
Pas rien du tout. He want to know what I'll cook for supper. I tell him nothing.
Et où tu vas dormir un soir? Quel lit tu vas coucher?
Je vais me coucher dans le lit en arrière et toi devant. He asked me what bed I must sleep in tonight. I tell him in the back bed and him in the front bed.
Is that nice?
It was Jake Wilson.
Hold on there, Mrs. Sullivan. You have ID numbers or inventory numbers on any of them traps? Or any other identification? Name?
It was Jake Wilson.
I know that you suspect Mr. Wilson. But your cousin here, Miss Sullivan, she told me that your son never saw his attack in the dark.
It was Jake.
I can understand your feelings, but the rules of evidence are such that they won't let me bring a charge.
In terms of syntax, for the most part, Cajuns speak English in the traditional English-American syntax. There are some ways that Cajun English is unique, though. For example, when a Cajun is trying to emphasize an affirmative or negative sentence, they will often revert to the French syntax. No, I didn't do that becomes I didn't do that, no. Some other unique elements of Cajun speech are that Cajuns talk extremely fast, and French terms are highly prevalent in their speech.
Because the Cajun dialect directly stems from the French language, many French words are used in everyday speech. Bonjour is used by speakers of the Cajun dialect to mean hello or good morning, and bonsoir is used to mean good evening. Additional vocabulary words and expressions used by speakers of the Cajun dialect are listed here. Some of them are in French, so I'm not going to try and pronounce them, so you can read them for yourself. Other unique English and French words and phrases that Cajun speakers use include it gave me the frissons, meaning it gave me the chills, making groceries, meaning buying groceries, get down, meaning get out of the car, cabin, meaning bathroom, he's got the gumbo, meaning his pants are too big in the seat, hot, meaning very hot. My eye or my foot for no way, slow the TV for turn down the volume, and sucette for pacifier.
Compared to standard American English, there are 5 especially prevalent dialectal differences in the Cajun dialect. Clipped vowel pronunciation, stress changes, as the French language puts more emphasis on the last syllable of words rather than on the first, lack of voiced and voiceless th, non-aspiration or not breathing out on the voiceless stops p, t, and k. An example of this may be Cajuns pronouncing pat as bat, and vocabulary differences. One main phonological characteristic of Cajun is the elimination of final consonants. Cajun speakers do not pronounce most of the final consonants, and they also drop some of the final consonant clusters like nd, st, and lm. Cajun speakers oftentimes delete the final t in late or rent, the d in hand, food, or wide, the voiced th in both, the r in together, the l in school or simple, and both final r and k in New York, making the rk cluster disappear completely. Other unique phonological characteristics of the Cajun dialect include heavy nasalization of vowels with slower h's, t's, and d's, h dropping, where hair may be pronounced like air, the replacement of the voiced and voiceless th with t and d, where thing may be pronounced as ting, and diphthongs changing to monophthongs.